Chair recognizes Trustee Baxter,
Yes, hi. Good
followed by
evening.
Trustee Zia.
Good evening, Mina. I have one question and 3 comments. What is the percentage of CTE classes among all the other classes offered at PCC?
You know, I would have to get that for you. I don't want to throw out
Well,
a
I'll
number
get
that's not
20.
accurate.
Okay.
But I can certainly get that for you.
Okay, thank you. Just curious. Then the 2 other things. I was at Nelson Middle School, which is on Cherry, last week, and I went to the principal's office. I wasn't sent there, and was telling her, oh, we need to have your students come to the Pacific Coast campus. So I want to give a shout out to Alicia Kreizenga, because she said, oh, the student outreach office has already been here, Sean Cully has been here, and we're having a visitation. So congratulations to you. And then I wanted to mention 2 things happening at the Pacific Coast campus. And one is on Friday, March 6th, Dr. Singhal asked the library group to have a speaker at the Pacific Coast campus. I'm not sure whether she was in favor of this speaker, but anyway, it's a gentleman named Tom Johnson who interviewed over 50 movie stars, and he's going to make presentation in Dyer Hall, and all are welcome. That's at 1 o'clock. And then lastly, on Saturday, March 7th, the Pacific Coast Campus Vocational Associates are going to Pechanga from the Pacific Coast campus.
Good. Chair recognizes Trustee Zia.
Thank you, Dr. Singhal. It's no secret that I'm a big fan of yours, and as usual, your presentation is wonderful. So I have a question on, I think it was the data side, slide 6 or 9, where you pulled up the data, slide 10. This is really great. Is this something that is accessible to the board? So like if I want to research where we are at as far as our numbers goes, FTE or current CTE completion. I mean, I know we have our student success scorecard, but that isn't so up to date as it seems like we have already in place, but I'm not sure. Is this something that is accessible to for anybody to look up?
There's a wealth of data on the institutional effectiveness website, so that might be a good starting point. There is also a great deal of data that is used for program planning, program review, department planning, also available on the institutional website. The Office of Academic Services and Institutional Effectiveness work together to provide enrollment management data as related to curriculum offerings and the schedule, which is provided on a regular basis to the deans and the VP of Academic Affairs. So we're able to pull up any report that you want from the data warehouse to provide you with the information that you need.
Okay, great. And that's real time, I'm assuming.
Correct.
Okay, because I noticed that I just required login, so I'm assuming I don't have authorization to log into our own system, but I certainly would like to see the up-to-date information at some point of how we're doing with our CTE. And I know in our accreditation report, it seems that our CTE completion is actually higher than our transfer, so that says a lot about your work and the team's efforts in that department. And then lastly, I just noticed in your, where do we go from here? I've planted this bug last time, but we have a surplus in our budget. I'm really looking forward to working together with our team and our staff in restoring our staff to full-time and then also our certificate CTE programs. Thank you.
And let me just say this, I cannot take credit for what you see with the CTE programs there. We have a fantastic dean in that area, wonderful department heads, and just an outstanding group of faculty members in that area.
Other comments, members of the board? I would like to say that you started your presentation with about many people probably don't know much about our Pacific Coast campus, but one of your first slides had to do with the zip code. And if you look at that, that's probably the most visual for people that when you look at that, you realize, for lack of a word, our customers, our students, our potential students, if you look at that as far as an opportunity to where a tremendous amount of our students live, the Pacific Coast campus is really ground zero as far as being able to assist them, and therefore that's why you're seeing the additional effort of general ed courses.
Right.
Whereas in the past, for some of us that remember when this used to be referred to, and it probably still is to some people, as the LAC campus for liberal arts campus, and that was the technology campus. And general ed now is much more prominent there. And if you look at this with the zip code, it's where our students are. That's where potentially much of our growth is going to be. And so your slides reflected that with the increase in general education, and also with sections that were offered. So it may be a secret to some people in the community, but to all of us here in the college, from the board members, we realize how valuable that is and the effort that's gone on and the things that have taken place there. With the most visible is people will look at it and go, wow, it looks different, because that's easy for you to drive by and realize it no longer looks like what used to be referred to as Hamilton Middle School decades ago. So a lot of great things are going on there, and for good reason, because there's a tremendous demand. I had a question, because when I see you listed on one of the slides, distant learning, is that another way of, there's so many different ways of saying it, and the reason I'm bringing up distant learning, is that just our way of explaining alternative delivery services, distant edge education, online education? Is this just another way you're terming it?
I might confuse some issues, and of course, our director can do a better job of explaining that. But I think that's a very good question. That refers to our online education. But I think what we want to do, and I've had some discussions with our director of that area, is to really be able to distinguish what exactly do we mean by online education,
Right.
What is hybrid, what is web enhanced, and so forth. So for now, it's pretty much lumped into one category.
I do remember that the Pacific Coast campus was doing a lot of very good things in regards to distant ed, online ed, whatever you want to call that. And to your point, again, going back to the old terminology, distant learning also, our alternative used to be, in the old days, it was a video. You'd put a video and you'd watch that, and I really feel old there. Quit laughing, Jenny. I know. But so I saw that and just really sort of piqued my curiosity, because so many things are going on there. Obviously, the slide that we're looking at right now is evident of the great demand and the opportunities we have at the Pacific Coast campus and all the good things that are taking place there. So it's really actually very exciting. It was very timely. And the fact we just had the another ceremony there for the official opening of the building, but at the same time, right behind us, it's amazing how fast the construction is going on. Hopefully that's a positive thing. And to everyone, ironically, 2 years is a long time with the trucks, but actually at a college where a big deal was made when they brought in a whole host of those type of eating establishments, and that was an exciting day on that campus. But it was a day, not years, so maybe that was the differential. So we're looking forward to when that gets changed and we open up that new building. So well done. Tremendously proud of what's taking place there.
President Kellogg, if I may, just a point of clarification, and it isn't exactly the answer to Trustee Zia's question, but people get really confused, I think, sometimes about the numbers of our CTE programs. We do have 38 now, and most, not all of the trades category of career technical programs are at the Pacific Coast campus, but we probably, in fact, have a majority of our career technical education programs located at the LAC campus, and that's defined by 4-digit top codes, which is something that the Chancellor's Office uses.
And we have 38 at the PCC campus?
We have 38 career technical education programs as defined by the Chancellor's Office, 4-digit top codes, and that breaks down into disciplines. And then at the Pacific Coast campus, we have less than half of those, and I'm not quite sure exactly what the number is, but most of those are trades programs. And I think that confuses people sometimes, and it confuses people in the community as well, because there's trades programs and then there's other kinds of career technical education programs.
Because I remember the certificate programs we still have offered is 59?
I'm
Total?
sorry? Yeah, we've got 59, and I think we've got probably, I can't remember, anywhere from 20-some to 30-some degree programs.
That's great.
Okay, I'm a
Other
little
questions?
confused.
Chair recognizes Trustee Zia, followed by Trustee Archuleta.
Yeah, you had me there until the 59. So how many of the 38 are certificate programs for it, or the 19 that are related to the trades?
So the Chancellor's Office looks at career technical education programs and breaks them out into 4-digit and 6-digit, what they call top codes. And the 4-digit ones are programs, full-blown programs, and then those programs break into what we would call discipline areas, similar to discipline areas. And then we have AS and AA degrees as well for, and Terry, you can help me if I'm wrong on some of these, I can't remember exactly, but, so our 4-digit career technical education programs, there's 38, and I think we have, I think 56 or 59 discipline 6-digit programs as identified by the Chancellor's Office, and most of those are certificate programs. And then we have 20-some to 30-some degrees, but we can get you the exact figures. But it's hard sometimes for people to, a full-blown program versus a discipline, which are fewer units, but it creates a certificate.
I know, I really appreciate you mentioning that, and I'm looking forward to seeing the data and untangling it, at least for myself.
Yeah.
Chair recognizes Trustee Archuleta.
And just want to comment on the fact that it's really good to hear that the pathways are available for students to complete entirely at PCC. I think that's important so that students are not going back and forth. So kudos on that. But the other thing is that I was looking, and you mentioned that I guess the population, prominent population at PCC is primarily adults. But as I look at the data, and it's interesting for me to note that 58% of the students that are enrolled at PCC are under 30. And I think those over 30 are 42%. So are you seeing changes in that? Is that a trend that's changing for PCC, where we're seeing younger students enrolling as opposed to, past years?
I can only comment on the last couple of years where we've looked at this data, and it's been pretty similar to what I've presented, excuse me, today. But for example, just to give you a quick comparison between PCC and LAC, if we look at 19 and younger at PCC only, that's 19%, and 19 and younger at LAC, and you don't have the LAC data, is 31%. Age 20 to 24 at PCC is about 25%. At LAC, it is 39%. So quite a big difference. And then when we look at the older age groups at LAC, if we take 40 to 49 or 35 to 39, that's 3.3% and 4.1%. And at LAC, it's 7% and 13%.
Well, I guess if you compare the two institutions, yes, or the two campuses, yes, but I think in relation to the overall demographic, I mean, you have a fairly young population enrolled, yeah.
Yes.
So, okay, thank you.
Chair recognizes Trustee Baxter.
Sure, just one more thing I should have mentioned. Trustee Z and I were working on getting a veterans office at the Pacific Coast campus, and in December, the foundation received a large grant, and so I'm working with James Martinez to open a veterans satellite office at PCC.
That is wonderful and will be very welcome at PCC, so thank you.
Other questions, members of the board, at this time on the PCC presentation? Thank you very much. This was an informational item only, but always enjoy hearing about all the things taking place there and success. Very well done. We will move on then, since that was an informational item. Scrolling, 3.1. This is under a Board of Trustees, and we can put both of them. They're both informational, but I'll also explain a little bit about these more for the public. I believe I've had some communications, but it's always good to do it in our meeting. These two items, 3.1, this is a future reports This is a developing recommendations for communication with Long Beach Community College District constituencies. And the second one, 3.2, supporting recommendation changes that will improve the educational outcome for LBCC students. So very briefly, what I'd like to do, I've always had a little bit of a concern about in our agenda and how we as a board can move things from discussion to where we meet Brown Act requirements, and therefore it's very difficult to, at the end of the meeting, board members to sit there and make a suggestion, for example. And I'd like to have a future report, and the following would be the following areas. So I've never felt really comfortable in our old format, and then hopefully it will fit better with this, also this new format with electronically. But my intent of this is to now, when there are items that come up, as did at the last meeting, I'll use that as a 3.1. This is an item that was started with during the accreditation process. There was questions that came up about different constituency groups working together. Trustee Otto at the time made some comments. Then Trustee Archuleta at our last meeting actually asked if there could be a future report. So at that time, there was talk about doing that. So as the chair of the board, I just discussed it a little bit more. And this way, we now have a beginning of, not a paper trail, electronic trail, that we now see it. It'll then go and be, and it's not even listed, but I believe this was within 90 days to report back. I do know that Trustee Archuleta and Trustee Otto were going to meet, but that was canceled because of Trustee Otto's emergency to go back east. Or did you meet? Did you meet with?
I didn't meet with the committee.
Then if you would like to make a comment on this one, that's how I will start. But the point of this process now is to have things on our agenda. It is informational only, but this way it begins where something will come back in a form that we can vote on as a governing body. So in the past, there's always been this uncertainty. There's been questions. They've been good questions of how we are able to process ideas, recommendations, requests. For example, in the last meeting, Trustee Otto also mentioned something about I'm going to mention phones, for lack of a better term. Again, it's very hard to put together an actual item in an open session. So after that request, I went back, I tried to find out what exactly he was talking about, and then really that could be answered in a format of simple communications, letters. Really, you don't need to require to have a board action on something like that. Trustee Zia brought up a point probably 2 meetings ago now on the bond construction programs, and that is a little more elaborate because we have to have a format, and in fairness, I have the plan that Vice President Gable had put together, looking at it to put it on this agenda with things we had or try to manage the agenda, and so my anticipation is it'll be on our next agenda. Is our next meeting in 2 weeks or at the end of the month?
2 weeks, March 10th.
Weeks. So that's my anticipation. I have a chance to look at it, and then we can put it on the board docket to where we can then discuss it and then take it from there. So again, this was the intent from our last meeting, to start to get our arms around how we actually deal with items as a board and fulfill all Brown Act requirements as well. So a little bit of a challenge, but hopefully this does make it easier on everyone. It does require a little bit of the chair to look at and to try to clearly understand what's coming before us, and these 2 items reflect that. So again, these are informational items. So at this point, for item 3.1, Trustee Archuleta, since you did have a meeting, and I apologize, but if you'd like to make any comments on this time, and my assumption is it's going to come back within 90 days, and correct me if I'm wrong, because it's not even listed here, but.
It is listed.
Yes, we're going to try to have it hopefully before the 90 days, but yes. So yesterday, and I know Luann's going to talk a little bit more about this, but yesterday I did have the opportunity to meet with some of the staff to basically discuss, I think in my request, it was what can we do as a board and what can we do as an institution to find out or to explore better ways of communication with our community. How can we best serve the needs of the community? And so rather than as board members or as employees of this institution assuming what the needs are, what can we do or how can we do it so that we can obtain direct information from the community themselves, so that the community can tell us, what those needs are. And so yesterday, we we explored a couple of possibilities, and I was really pleased to hear of the work that's already in progress. And so it was, surprisingly pleased to hear that there is already some work in progress, and I know that we're going to get to hear, we're going to receive a presentation in terms of the communication plan. That is, as I said, it's in progress, and from there, I think we can then decide what else can we do to improve that communication. So at this point, it was just a conversation on, what methodology, what we can do, and I thought, well, we should wait until we get that presentation. Then we can talk a little bit more of what else needs to be done. So, Luann?
Yes, I was going to, John Pope is not able to be here tonight, he's ill, and he was going to give an update under the superintendent president's report, so I can do that now or wait until that item comes up on the agenda.
If you want to do it now, go right ahead. And then I'll follow that with Trustee Zia.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate Trustee Archuleta meeting with us yesterday. We do have a subcommittee to work with the Board of Trustees to look at some of these issues. This is actually really good timing because this dovetails into a larger communications plan that we've been working on for a few months now. And what I'm going to do tonight is just give you a quick update on the process and the progress of that, and we'll come back with another report at next month's board meeting that has the recommendations, the results and the recommendations for that plan. But what we did is we are taking a comprehensive look at how Long Beach City College is perceived and how we communicate both internally and externally with our constituents. The goal is to have a 3 to 5 year strategic plan that will guide the way we communicate and allow us to be able to make adjustments and be able to track how we're doing in the course of that time. We're conducting this in 3 phases. We've got research and surveys, plan development, and actual implementation. The research, assessment, and survey phase began in September, and that has just been completed. The assessment included research, internal and external surveys. We've worked with a communications firm to lead this assessment and help us do the planning and craft some of the recommendations to come back to you all and the college constituents. We have completed a telephone survey of the community. We surveyed over 1,200 people in both English and Spanish. And we've had focus groups with students, faculty, classified staff, and management. And we did also an online survey with our faculty and staff here at the college. We got a 30% response rate, which was really terrific. We were really pleased with that. We held in-person interviews with key stakeholders representing all of our audiences, our board of trustees. I think each of you were individually interviewed. Our executive staff, our faculty leadership, faculty, students, media, elected officials, community leaders, business owners in the community. And we now have a draft form of that. We will be seeking feedback on that plan in the coming weeks from various college constituencies, and then we plan to return to the Board of Trustees in April with the results of that, the methodology that we use, the results of that, and the recommendations for your consideration.
Very good. Trustee Zia?
Yes, thank you, Luann and President Kellogg. I fully support this item, and I think it's important for us to have a process just so some of us are clear and we apply the same baseline. I just have a minor comment, and it's not really substantive, but we didn't establish a subcommittee on in our last board meeting as it is stated in this item. Otherwise, it would be reflected in the minutes that we just approved. So if we could correct the staff report to reflect or not state that we established a subcommittee on January 27th, that'd be great, because I certainly don't recall having that discussion. And I looked at the video and I don't see it either. And the other item is this going to be an ongoing subcommittee, or is it just one time? Is it an ad hoc committee? Because my understanding is that the subcommittee, and this is based on training we received on Brown Act at our Sacramento, a couple of times they mentioned subcommittees are subject to the Brown Act, ad hoc committees or not. So I just wanted to get some clarification on that and see if it's just a one-time committee, or is it going to be an ongoing committee, subcommittee?
My impression is going to be just for this one item. This is a report for the Board of Trustees, so it would be for this and this item only. And in the minutes, if they want to reflect that it was the, whether it be a board action or not, it was the chair, because I actually asked Trustee Otto and Archuleta, because of their interest and their comments, including Trustee Archuletta's comments at our last board meeting. So if it wants to reflect that, the chair of the board appointed a committee, subcommittee, whatever terminology you want to use, but it is just for this one item.
Okay, great, thank you.
And
I fully support it.
and so we're really looking, it's a lot sooner than I thought, in April, and I knew there were other items already moving forward. So this actually began probably, I'm going to say, over a year ago, some of the concerns we have with communications out with the public and how we can do a better job at it. So obviously, we're looking forward to the recommendations. And at that point, the recommendations come before the board as far as with whether it be policies, procedures, and therefore now we're following an actual process. So when that comes forward, it'll come forward with some actual action items, I'm assuming, for the Board of Trustees to deliberate and vote on. Any other questions on this particular item? Thank you,
Sorry,
Luann. I'm sorry, I don't know if that was supposed to be, if you were trying to find a document at the same time, because I was watching the there was no other document to be posted.
No.
Okay, very good.
Can I have clarification on your, Member Zia is correct, subcommittee was not mentioned in the meeting and it's not in the minutes, but are you asking that you're just explaining that that's what your intent was as a subcommittee, or?
Yes, I don't know if and I apologize, I thought I did bring it up, but I know Trustee Archuleta.
We're not being asked to change the minutes, are we,
No.
or amend
No.
or anything? Okay.
It's just the way, if you look at the board item in the comments, in the body, it says, at the meeting of January 27th, the board established a subcommittee, and that did not happen, and that's really the minor correction that I had. And then the other item is that, are we going to get the data that Trustee Otto requested through this subcommittee, or is that separate and within the 90 days that he requested? How is that being handled?
I'm sorry, what?
The
what-
report about the call centers that Trustee Otto requested, is that subsequent to this, the findings of this committee, 90?
That would be a separate item, and unless I can get more clarity on what we're looking for to bring back to the board for an action item of some sort, to request a report, and that again is a little bit, as I started this discussion, of trying to maintain items that come before the board that actually are going to require some type of vote or discussion for the board to address policy procedures to help our students. In that particular item, there had been some communication already going back and forth, and really as far as bringing it up to having a report developed for the board to look at was minimal. So unless something else comes forward, it was one of those that I asked after the meeting, said, I don't understand what you're really trying to get to, and so that again is going to be a little bit of the prerogative, not going to be a little bit, that's going to be the prerogative of the chair to try to sort through some of these things. And again, that's why I ask everyone when we make comments or requests of our staff, just make sure they're fairly clearly outlined, and it makes everyone's job a lot easier. But this also will hopefully help that now we actually are bringing things forward, and you'll be able to see it, and people can track it. And then I just feel much more comfortable on having a very clean process for items, whereas before I think there was a lot of question marks. Yes, I got two vice presidents over there.
Board President Kellogg, I think in our discussions yesterday with Trustee Archuleta, we discussed the call centers, and we felt that we would try to wrap it in to the same discussion and try to bring everything back as one report for the board to consider and evaluate.
Fine. Yeah, not a separate report. Very
Yes,
good.
and if I may, I just want to clarify that I think at the last meeting, and I did look at the video myself just to get clarification on the question that's being posed regarding the subcommittee. And I believe what you indicated is that I should work with Trustee Otto on this communication issue. And so my meeting with the Communications Committee, the Campus Communication Committee, was pretty much my understanding, a one-time thing, to just sort of give some instruction or direction in terms of what it is that I foresee in this communication report that I'm requesting. What is it that I intend to do? And that was basically the purpose for our meeting with a committee. And also, since Trustee Otto was going to be out of town, he asked me to please bring up his issue regarding the call centers. And so I brought it up. So that was part of that.
So you probably heard about the fact it wasn't going to be a report. All right, well, very good. Well, I look forward to the recommendations that will come back to the board on this particular item. That is, again, an informational item only. The second item is another one that came up, 3.2. This is supporting recommended changes that will improve the educational outcomes of the LBCC students. And again, this was an item talking to the members. This did not originate here at a board meeting. There's been discussion about this, but at the State of the College address, if you're looking on that, it was raised by President Oakley. Other members of the board made a comment that they thought this would be something that would be very good to address. It is an issue that all community colleges are dealing with, essentially how to assist students moving more aggressively through to reach their academic goals. So when I asked President Oakley after the speech if he could prepare something again within 90 days, he said that would not be a problem for the board to deliberate, look at. Maybe we can make some recommendations. So I think it was worthy, and that had an interest of many members of the board, and so that's why I agendized it, and then that process can begin to come back to us within 90 days. Is there anyone since I don't believe I covered it well enough to where I don't believe anyone else. If anyone else has any questions on this,